Starting off with the black metal sword, we've got a 113 slash, 10 block power, 35 parry force, 2 times parry bonus, 40 knockback, 3 times backstab damage, and a minus 5% to movement speed. And then we're going to combo the black metal shield with the sword, and the stats on the shield are a 100 block power, 60 parry force, 1.5 times parry bonus, and once again a minus 5% to movement speed. And then the sword's going to be real good at taking on about 1 to 3 enemies at a time. Above that, it's going to be pretty overwhelming. To showcase just how much damage you can do, we're going to be taking on the Goblin Brute or the Fulling Berserker. Your basic swipes are going to do about 30 to 50 damage. And then if you do a combo finisher, you're going to do upwards of 100 damage or even up to 200 damage. As you saw right there, I just did 186 damage. And if you stun your enemy, you're going to be able to do even more damage. So we just parried, and then I did 70, 90, and then 230 damage on the last hit. And then if we do our secondary attack, can do up to 170 damage. And if you stun your opponents, you can do even more with that secondary attack, all the way up to 330 damage with this sword. And I want to point out, we're doing all of this with around level 0 for skills. So blocking, pole arms, knives, swords, and axes have all been reset to level 0. Because if your skills are a higher level, that's going to increase your ability to block, and it'll also increase your ability to do more damage. And then moving on to the black metal axe, we've got a 110 slash, 20 block power, 0 parry force, 2 times parry bonus, 60 knockback, 3 times backstab, and a minus 5% to movement speed. For the most part, this black metal axe is going to be very similar to the sword, and the sword is going to be a little bit better than the axes. Then if we're taking on an enemy with the basic attacks, you're going to be able to do 30 to 40 damage. Then with the combo finisher, up to around 100 damage. So stunning your enemy with the parry block is very beneficial. There we go, another 70 damage, 70 damage, and then 85 damage there. 90 damage, 120 damage, and 109. The reason I'm doing less damage on the combo finisher is because the Goblin Brute is only staying stunned for so long. There we go, 100 damage, 119 damage, and then 220 damage. The attack speed on the sword is just a little bit faster as well. And one final note, the axe does not have a secondary attack like the sword does, so there is another thing that's going to put the sword above the axe for being a little bit better. Then if we move on to the black metal pole arm, this weapon has a 123 pierce, 10 block power, 55 parry force, 3 times parry bonus, 30 knockback, 3 times backstab damage, and a minus 10% to movement speed. When using this weapon, it is a two-handed weapon, so you're not going to be able to use that shield. So though there is a minus 10% to movement speed, that is technically the same amount of movement speed loss that you would have from using the sword and the shield at the same time anyway. So it's exactly the same. The only downside is that you have 90 less block power when using this weapon, and then the parry force is only 5 less than that of the shield, which the polearm is at 55 instead of 60, which the shield has. And this weapon is absolutely great for taking on multiple enemies at a time, just because of your secondary attack with this weapon. But before we look at that, we're just going to look at the regular damage. So your basic attacks are going to do 65, 60 damage, 60 damage, 60 damage, and then 100 damage on the combo finisher there. And then on bigger enemies, you're not even going to be able to parry their attack. In terms of the secondary attack, it's going to push your enemies back, and then it does about 60 damage each time whenever you hit your enemy. And as you can see right there, not only did it knock back my opponent, but it also stunned him for a little bit. And then when I attacked him the second time there, I got a critical hit. And then finally, to showcase just how beneficial this weapon is against multiple enemies at the same time, we're going to use just the secondary attack to take on these goblins. And it'll literally push back all of the goblins so that you have just enough time to attack again and again, and you're not going to get smacked around by all of the goblins at the same time. So we'll get another secondary attack in here. And another one. Just took out about 4 or 5 enemies at the same time. And then finally, moving on to the black metal knife, you can equip the black metal shield once again. And stats on this weapon, you've got 21 slash, 21 pierce, 15 block power, 25 parry force, 4 times parry bonus, 10 knockback, and 10 times backstab. I kind of get the picture with this weapon that they want you to use your sneak ability to sneak up on your enemies. And then if you sneak up on your enemies, you can do up to like 210 damage on the initial hit. And then there's no decrease to movement speed. So if you didn't have the shield equipped, you'd have no loss to your movement speed except for the armor that you're wearing. Attack speed for this weapon is fairly fast, and then there is very little stamina drain. But because your range is so small, once again, it's going to be just like the sword and the axe. You're only going to want to take on like 1 or 2 enemies at the same time. Just in regards to your basic attacks with this weapon, you're going to be doing anywhere from 13 to about 25 damage. So we just got 20 damage there, 18 damage there, 16, 17, 15 damage. So as you can see, it's really not very high, but you can attack so fast, you can dish out a bunch of hits pretty quickly. And then with the combo finisher attack, you're going to be able to do around 40 damage each time. 32 on the low end there. And then if you stun your enemy, 30 damage, 45 damage, and then 51 damage on the combo finisher. And then the secondary attack, that does 70 damage, 73 damage, 70 damage. So it's pretty consistent how much damage that secondary attack does. And then if you stun your enemy and then do the secondary attack, you can do all the way up to 145 damage. So overall, the black metal knife is pretty fast, but I would still recommend using the black metal sword comboed with the black metal shield. And then if you have multiple enemies on you, then switch to the black metal polearm. And that's all I got for you in this video. If you found this to be enjoyable or helpful, please consider leaving a like, subscribing for more. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.